Could it be that if Trump is on the verge of building his new following on Parler, that was the reason they decided to go after you?
I think that was entirely their primary motive, is that they didn't want him to have a platform, and that was it. And so they used everything else as an excuse, because if it really was violence that was their problem, we could have worked with them and talked to them. We were also, anytime any illegal activity happened, we were cooperating with the authorities to make sure people were found. And so, if violence and incitement was really their problem, they would have been looking at places like Twitter, where it is rampant, very, very rampant, or they would be looking at places like Facebook, where events were organized. They have all these facts. They didn't care about those. And so to me, it felt like the primary motive was really the idea that Trump could have been joining. And they knew that Parler, standing for free speech, means everybody has a right to speak. They knew that we wouldn't ban him. And so I think that was their primary motive. And their secondary motive was also that of competition. They have a monopoly on speech. Amazon controls a lot of infrastructure. Apple controls the ability to access iPhones. If you don't have access to iPhone, then you can't get if you can't get access to the App Store, you cannot be on the iPhone at all, which most influencers use iPhones. If Apple or Google decides to ban your app, they follow suit with one another. And as you saw with what happened to Parler, when Amazon, Apple, or Google, any of them come out and make a harsh statement saying they will not support you, we get SMS vendors saying no, credit card processors saying no, every other backup cloud vendor in the United States, let's say 6+ of the next top cloud storage providers other than Amazon for infrastructure said no. Amazon then cited, hey, why not just build your own data center then? And they literally said that in their brief, which is shocking because we're a software company. We're not a hardware company. So, it's like saying to McDonald's, or like saying to Burger King, why don't you make your own water lines or power grid? Like, come on, don't be ridiculous.
Here's a couple of tweets from Oliver Darcy, of journalist. He goes, and he's quoting something that Alex Stamos said to Brian Stelter on CNN. I want to show why this is actually spiraling out of control, even beyond Parler. We are going to have to figure out the OAN, the One American News, and Newsmax problem. This is sort of dictatorial talk. These companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure. We need Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such, bringing them into tens of millions of homes. So basically what they're getting at here is the same thing. You've got these conservative outlets. How about if we block their infrastructure so that even though they have a right to free speech, the right is meaningless because they can't get their content into your home? Where do you think this kind of high-tech infrastructure gangsterism is going to take us? I mean, isn't it a fact that if it continues, then we can theoretically say that it's being done by private companies, but the simple fact of it is that we will have no genuine free speech in America, and moreover, the 75 to 80 million people who voted for Trump will not have a public voice. They can talk about their views at home, but they will have no public forum to express themselves. I mean, are we at this point in America today?
It's weird because looking at the landscape, we've seen a lot of strange and horribly abusive governments throughout history. The one thing that we haven't seen, which I think is what's forming here, is not a government, but a kind of country ran by a few big companies. Because it seems that there is an outrage mob. It's a very vocal minority, which is on Twitter. They're out there saying, hey, everybody, go after Parler now. And so they work together. They target every vendor that works with us. And then they target every client of those vendors. And they say, cancel Parler. And so it seems very weird that the country and the marketplace is not ruled by a government. Rather, is ruled by, an outrage mob who goes to these corporations and determines who can and cannot exist in the marketplace. It's very strange to see, and it's extremely dangerous. The weird thing is, and I'm libertarian leaning, I've never been about big government. I've never been about government involvement. I've always been about private corporations. But witnessing this, it makes me think someone needs to rein in these companies. They're too powerful. And, if you're providing infrastructure services, what does it matter what we're doing as long as it's legal? And so, Amazon claimed Section 230 gives them the right to boot us from their infrastructure. But the content that they're claiming they want to boot us over, we have Section 230 immunity over as well. And so it doesn't quite make sense that they get to weaponize theirs against our company for stuff that we're immune from anyway, legally speaking. So it's kind of a big old headache. And it doesn't make any sense why they can all do this. And it could happen to literally any company and any person at any point in time if they wanted to do it to you.
It seems to me to be an American streak of fascism, if you will. And I don't use that word lightly. I've written a book about it. Fascism is the coordination of the government with private industry to achieve a shared, coordinated objective. These people you're talking about, this outrage mob, these are the sort of digital brown shirts who essentially are the equivalent of Mussolini's thugs on the street. This is why it seems to me imperative that this effort against Parler fail. So here's my question. What do you need? What are you doing? What can people do to help you to beat these thugs so that you can come out, Parler, come back sooner rather than later, and prove that this, you may say, blitzkrieg against you didn't work?
Well, we're going to come through this stronger, and we're not going to give up or give in. We can't let them destroy our businesses like this. And so the only thing that we can do, which will drive them completely insane, is to succeed. If you saw the article by, the Daily Beast yesterday, they said, oh no, the Parler Hell site is back, because we got our static website. It drives them mad. They are foaming at the mouth that we're even getting a static website up, let alone coming back. And so only thing we can do is really succeed here. And to do this, it's going to be difficult. There's only probably less than 10 companies in the United States who can offer infrastructure security for us. None of them wanted to work with us. So now we have to go international. And it's sad that our American values aren't here to say free speech. We're not here to say you have a right to run your own business. They're not here to uphold American values. And so we have to go outside the country, really, to find security for our site.
Have you checked, what about checking India? Because I know that India is probably one of the most pro-American countries in the world today. The Indians believe in free speech. They like the American model of free speech. I'm sure there are tons of people appalled at what's going on in America. If I can be helpful in hooking you up with some Indian companies that might be very happy to take this on, please let me know.
I will. And India and Europe, everywhere, even Russia and China are more open to the opportunity of free speech right now than the United States' business sector is. And so this is really, really scary. And but we're going to come through this because we're going to figure out the partners who are really our friends, who are going to stick by us no matter what. And that's what we're finding right now. And we have to rebuild this infrastructure, not just for Parler, but we're going to have to rebuild it for every other company because OAN is next, Newsmax is next, Fox News is after that. All of these private companies will work their way, taking out the next easiest player until they can completely destroy any opposition. And that's what they're doing. This is a political movement to them. And so in order to stop this, we have to be setting an example of how to build this infrastructure and become independent of them.
I mean, won't it be ironic if it is Manuel Lopez Obrador in Mexico and foreign entities that step up and go, we believe more in the First Amendment than you do anymore in America, or at least the left does anymore in America. Let me leave you by asking this question, John. It seems to me that you're saying to the question, will Parler be back? Yes. But my question now is, can you let people know about when? Lots of people with big accounts, me included, miss Parler, and we're thinking like when? You know how we are in the impatient age of digital media. What can you tell us about the when? Do you have any indication of when you're going to be up and running?
Hopefully by the end of this month, as in January 2021.
That is awesome. I'm delighted to hear it. John, you're a hero for what you're doing. If you succeed, you will be bigger than ever. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to be on your side, and I want this show to be a forum, not only for featuring solutions, but for featuring the people who don't just complain, but make it happen. You make it happen. Thank you for being on this show. I really appreciate it.